stating very plainly that a lot of people are celebrating.
And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Very happy to welcome to the show Al Franken, former And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Very happy to welcome to the show Al Franken.
At the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We gotta unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the Dean Obeidallah Show, brothers and sisters. Friday, September 27th. Dean Obeidallah, Friday, MBFF, all of that. What a week. What a week. We've had weeks filled with a bunch of breaking news, but this was, I think, the most substantive week of the entire Trump administration. And I think, and we'll see if I'm right, but I think when we look back in history, we will find that this is the week that marked the beginning of the end of the Trump administration, this very week. Time will tell if I'm right or not. I'm not going to bet on it. Well, time will tell. So we got a lot to cover, still a lot more going on. But first, we need a little humor. We've earned it. Colbert's got some great jokes about what's going on in this whole scandal. Here's first a Colbert joke, and why I'm playing this especially is that within the comedy joke is an actual clip of George Stephanopoulos talking to Trump in June 2019 of this year about would you accept dirt from a foreign official or would you call the FBI? And Donald Trump there admitting he would. And by the way, to remind people, while he called the Ukrainian leader and violated American law and committed a felony by asking for dirt in July, the open reporting shows in May, potentially even earlier, but in May, Rudy Giuliani was looking for this dirt. So that's why Trump is doing this. Now we know that. So here is clip number one.
Stating very plainly that I have received information from multiple U.S. government officials that the President of the United States is using the power of his office to solicit interference from a foreign country in the 2020 U.S. election. Soliciting interference from a foreign power to influence a U.S. election. Well, you know what they say. If at first you do succeed, try that again. You can't. It's a saying. It's a saying. You can't say Trump didn't warn us. Remember this exchange from June?
Your campaign this time around, if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening.
There's nothing wrong with listening. Unless you're listening to that phone call I had with the Ukrainian president, because what phone call? There was no...
So there's Trump telling us. And what's beautiful about that clip in June, folks, is that it sparked a response from the chair of the Federal Election Commission on Twitter, and got a lot of media coverage where she tweeted, "I didn't think I have to say this, but it is against the law to accept any information or anything of value from a foreign national." So there's no dispute. Trump knows the law now. Remember, there was a whole discussion. Did they know at the Trump Tower meeting when they were getting dirt on Hillary that violated the law or not? It's all debatable. That issue is done for now. But the good thing of that is that it put Trump on notice publicly. The whole country knows that. So Trump knows it's against the law to ask for help from a foreign leader of anything of value. You also know it's illegal to accept it. And I think that's very helpful to all of us. And I have to be honest, Robert Mueller, we may have been disappointed in his report and not concluding in a way that was very clear that there were felonies committed, that there were crimes committed, and Trump should be charged. But the reason we are where we are now is because of Robert Mueller's investigation. And it made a lot of people aware of the wrongdoing of Donald Trump over the last 2 years. And it reminds me of the other side, ironically enough, the way with Hillary Clinton. Remember the drip, drip, drip with the email? And it seemed to be in the news all the time. Well, Trump's corruption and wrongdoing and potential criminality was in the news for the last year and a half. And that's why, as we sit here today, the support of Americans for impeachment today, and the impeachment proceedings just began on Tuesday, is far, far higher than when they began with Richard Nixon. Then it was 19%. Now we're over 40%. Stunning. And now here's one more quick joke, and it leads us into something that's really important. Here's Colbert on Trump fighting back against all of the facts. Clip number 2.
A lot of people are celebrating because Donald Trump is in serious trouble, but Trump has shown over and over again that when he's cornered, he will fight like the rabid weasel that lives on his head.
So Trump is fighting back, and so are his little minions. And we're seeing it, and it's not surprising. Part of it's not surprising, but some of it got alarming now. Now, at first, Donald Trump today was freaking out on Twitter. Last night, his last tweets before he closed his eyes and had nightmares was about himself. He woke up this morning tweeting about himself. It's remarkable to me. Trump's last tweet of the day is about himself. The first tweet of the day is about himself. I want a president whose first and last thought of the day is about the United States of America and how they can help Americans, not themselves. Is that too much to ask for? Am I too nostalgic for a different time in our country where a president cares about themselves second and the country first? But Trump, it's always about him. Some of the tweets he tweeted like crazy last night and today. Some were idiotic. He tweeted, "It was a perfect conversation with the Ukraine president." What is a perfect conversation? I'm sorry, I don't score my telephone conversations. I don't get off the phone going, "That was a 7. Man." Or hang up, "That was a 5. I got to do better." Does anyone out there score your telephone conversation? But Trump does. Hashtag perfect conversation. He is scoring his phone conversations, folks. I don't know what perfect is. Have you ever had a perfect phone conversation in your entire life? I prefer no phone conversation. I prefer texting and emailing me. That's perfect. In any event, then he went on to attack House Intel Chair Adam Schiff, calling on him to resign several times in tweets because generally the suspect gets to push out a prosecutor, as we all know. Doesn't work that way, buddy. This is an elected official, not Robert Mueller, appointed by the DOJ Trump controls. This is a human being elected by Americans, so can't do that. The bottom line is Trump is freaking out, just like any criminal who got caught. Their first reaction is to freak out, and that's what we're seeing right now. Then the new defense, though, and this became more of the right-wing talking point, was Donald Trump attacking the whistleblower as everything in the complaint is hearsay and none of it's true. He tweeted, sounding more and more like the so-called whistleblower isn't a whistleblower at all. In addition, all second-hand information that proved to be so inaccurate that there may not have been someone else, a leaker or a spy, a partisan operative. And the right-wing talking point, the minions were out there, the Fox News people were out there. You had, first of all, Hogan Gidley, the deputy press secretary, was saying about the complaint on Fox and Friends, it was extremely well written and well produced in a way which people wonder, how much help did he have? Then Fox News commentator and Trump's personal lawyer, Jay Sekulow, pushed the theory even more on Fox and Friends, said they had to have help. We don't know who they is. We know it's one whistleblower. Because look at the phraseology, the endnotes, the footnotes. This wasn't drafted by a whistleblower, by an individual. It was written by a law firm. That's what the American people are seeing. And then Jeanine Pirro didn't want to be left out of these reindeer fiction games, said there's no question a third party penned this. It's interesting. Here's the reality, folks. If, and I'm being very fair here, if all we had was a whistleblower complaint, and in that complaint, the whistleblower does admit that some of the things he did not see directly. He heard it from others. If that's all we had, it would be a lot of hearsay. And you'd say, well, we're going to see if it's true or not. But this is not that case. Something else has happened in this case that corroborates the whistleblower's complaint. And someone told us something. Somebody released something to us that corroborates the entire whistleblower complaint on the important issues. And who was that person? Donald J. Trump. You've got the suspect corroborating the versions of the account that's in the whistleblower complaint. And I'll read you from some of the whistleblower complaint and the Trump fake transcript, we'll call it a transcript for now, that they released to us. It's identical. So there's no daylight between the two. This is not a real argument. But still, they're going to give it to their base, and some Trumpers will call in and regurgitate this, not having any understanding whatsoever what it means, because many of them lack critical thinking skills. Some love Trump so much, even if their critical thinking skills are really sharp, they will accept Trump's, numbing them. So here's what the whistleblower complaint says. I'll read it verbatim. In the course of my official duties, I have received information from multiple U.S. government officials that the President of the United States is using this power of his office to solicit interference from a foreign country at the 2020 U.S. election. That is the core. That is the main point in the whistleblower complaint. And he goes on to say that it includes pressuring a foreign country to investigate one of the president's main domestic political rivals. That's the main part there. And then says, involving Rudy Giuliani and Bill Barr. That's the main thing. So there's cover-up stuff and everything, but this is a crime in and of itself. So let's compare it with the phone conversation Donald Trump released to us. In that phone conversation, I'll read verbatim what it says. He talks to the Ukrainian president, and he says, quote, I would like you to do us a favor, and talks about the server first, and he gets the real issue. Quote, there's a lot of talk about Biden's son. That Biden stopped the prosecution. A lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with Attorney General would be great. You know, Biden went around bragging that he stopped the prosecution. So if you can look into it, it sounds horrible to me. And several other times in this is not the whistleblower complaint. I'm reading you the Trump transcript where he admits to saying, it goes on, Trump says, I will have Mr. Giuliani call you. I'm also going to have Attorney General Barr call you. We'll get to the bottom of it. He repeats that 2 or 3 times. And here's this little ridiculous stuff. I'm sure you will figure it out. I heard the prosecutor was treated very badly. He was a very fair prosecutor. So good luck with everything. Adding, this is quid pro quo stuff. Adding, your economy is going to get better and better, I predict. Yeah, why? Because you're going to release the aid. That's why. Oh, my God. But I'm not even litigating right here with you the bribery or the extortion charges. I'm talking about this. So Trump is saying the White House complaint is partisan and the whistleblower is partisan and it's more than one person. None of that is relevant to this. And I'm hoping people on our side, we're not going to get sucked into this. Just stick to the transcript of Donald Trump. You don't even need the whistleblower complaint. Whistleblower complaint says the President of the United States using his power of his office to solicit interference from a foreign country, pressuring to give information on one of the president's main domestic rivals. Trump says that. He admits all that. Hunter Biden. This is stuff. Can you help me out? Rudy's going to call you. Barr, you got it. Done. And here's the thing, folks. And this is what Trump and the entire Fox world is doing right now. They're trying to litigate and debate bribery and extortion. There was no quid pro quo. We're going to get to that later. And that's going to be not very challenging because prosecutors, people who have served federal prosecutors, said very clearly that the elements are there, that they've charged people for less. But here's the crime they're ignoring. They're essentially conceding it because it's in the actual transcript. The crime here is when Donald Trump says, I have a favor to ask you. And in that favor, he asks for help about Joe Biden's son. Biden stopped the prosecution. Biden went around bragging that he stopped it. Can you look into it? That is point blank asking for, soliciting information from a foreign government to help his 2020 campaign. The issues that Donald Trump was asking about happened in March 2016. They are not relevant to a president in July 2019. That's when the conversation happened. But for one reason, because we're in the heat of the 2020 campaign, and he wants to get dirt on Joe Biden. If it had nothing to do with the campaign, he would have asked for it in 2017 or 2018 or in April 2019 when he first talked to the Ukrainian president. But no, we're in the heart of the campaign. He was down by 10 points in a poll that came out that very morning, as I told you, and he tweeted about that very poll, 7:30 in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning. He's on the phone with the Ukrainian president, folks. And just so it's clear, so we're all on the same page here about the law. The law, it's 52 U.S. Code Section 3121. Simply says about contributions and donations from foreign nationals. Quote, it shall be unlawful for a person to solicit, accept, or receive a contribution or donation described in these paragraphs from a foreign national. A contribution is defined not just as money. It is defined as anything of value. In fact, this was so heavily written about in the Mueller report when he talked about the dirt offered by the Russians to Trump. And in that, he made it clear that anything of value would be a contribution, because that's the case law. He's not making that up. In fact, Mueller writes in his report, the rationale for this is, quote, the United States has a compelling interest in limiting the participation of foreign citizens in activities of democratic self-government and in thereby preventing foreign influence over the U.S. political process. If you do not agree with that, if you think foreign government should get involved in our elections, you don't believe in our form of democracy. You don't believe in our republic. And I think that, to be blunt, you would never say that but for to defend your beloved Donald Trump, because no one would. No patriotic American would ever say, I want a foreign government to interfere with a campaign. No one would say, it should be our election, ours alone. And we know that. So what Donald Trump did here, knowing and willfully, because we already know, we played the June clip with Stephanopoulos. It was very clear. The whole world went exploded in America. It's a knowing and willful violation. It's a violation of law. You can't do it. He knew that. He still asked for it in July. That's knowing and willful. That is the standard to take this from a civil penalty to a felony. Donald Trump, by his own admission, is committed a felony. That's it. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. So the bribery stuff, quid pro quo, that's different. To me, it's pretty clear as a lawyer, this quid pro quo. But, that would be a decision for the jury, ultimately, if it gets to a criminal trial after he's impeached. And if he's removed from office, that'll be a decision. That'll be a question for the jury. That, frankly, will be. They will hear all the evidence. They will understand the circumstance. It'll be painted a picture for them. And a jury will go back to that room and sit there and make a decision to Donald Trump, was this quid pro quo? And if it is, it's a felony. But we've got this other one. We also have abusive power. This argument, this distraction, this misleading, that's typical Trump. We're ready for it. It's deceitful, but that's Trump. He's deceitful. But something else is happening now that's beyond that. That's alarming. And that's the use of language of violence happening by Donald Trump, by Trump's defender Geraldo Rivera today on Fox News. I'm going to play these clips for you because they're concerning. And then actor Jon Voight, who loves Donald Trump, did a video that went viral this afternoon, and I'll play some of it, that while he does not use the word violence, any kind of violence specifically, he talks in terms of defending Trump to defend God, like you're giving a speech to crusaders going to the Holy Land to fight Muslims or something in the time of the Crusades. That's what it sounds like. So here's first, this is Trump yesterday saying it's a war and it threatens to, we're going to jump down to clip number 10, Matt.
But basically, that person never saw the report, never saw the call, meaning never saw the call, heard something, and decided that he or she, whoever the hell it is, sort of like almost a spy. I want to know who's the person that gave the whistleblower, who's the person that gave the whistleblower the information, because that's close to a spy. You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, right, with spies and treason? We used to handle it a little differently than we do now.
So he's calling the whistleblower a spy. And you know what we used to do then? Kill them. That's what he's saying. It's very clear. It's how authoritarians speak. The same way it's not quid pro quo because Donald Trump is not going to say expressly in a phone conversation, hey, this for that. You don't do that. Even this idiot knows that. He's dealt with the law all his life. This guy has never been held accountable. Here's Geraldo Rivera in this morning, and you can't see him make the fist sign, but he talks about WAP. He's making a fist, like he's going to punch someone in the face. Here's clip number 3. Listen how he talks about the whistleblower as a patriot.
After listening to the Democrats, they believe that they have it now. That everything else, Russia collusion, Stormy Daniels, taxes, making money on hotels and all that, they're going to put everything away and they're going to laser focus on this. This is going to be what the impeachment is all about. Maybe one or two little other things fall in. So it's going to be the president of the United States in a conversation that was intercepted by a rotten snitch. I'd love to whap him, but that's another story. Imagine this poor president, his whole tenure in office has been marked by snitches and rats and backstabbers.
Yep.
It's amazing how he functions at all.
You know, this stuff that he's saying is absolute bullshit, but it's alarming because it's on Fox News, on Fox and Friends. He is telling the Fox and Friends audience that this man who's a CIA analyst, likely, who's a patriot, who did this to help the United States of America, because what he said in his whistleblower complaint has been verified by Donald Trump. It's also been deemed credible by Donald Trump's appointee, Michael Atkinson, the director of the Inspector General. But we don't even to get to that. Trump's own transcript backs up everything. So they're saying he's a rat. No, what he said was absolutely true. It's backed up by Donald Trump. But I would punch him in the face. Whap, whap, and he's making a fist thing. And then you had Trump at that closed-door meeting say, we're at war, and here's John Voight. And you could laugh it off, except this video went viral. Conservatives were going crazy over this, and they were loving it. Here's the beginning of John Voight, the actor. Everyone knows him. Clip number 4, please.
War. This is war against truths. This is a war against the highest noble man who has defended our country and made us safe and great again. Let me stand with our president. Let us all stand with our President Trump in a time of such evil words, trying for impeachment. This is a crime that the left are trying to force. This is a disgrace by such ignorant followers that have no truth of what truly has been brought back to our country.
And I'll play one more clip near the end. And the reason I'm playing this, if you listen to this tone, it sounds like something you would see in a movie where there's a propaganda minister for a tyrant or an authoritarian leader. And this is the person who goes on state-run TV and tells people this. And who's watching this insanity, because it goes on for like 2 minutes, in these tones of a threat to our nation. And now he invokes God and defending, if you defend Trump, you're defending God. And it's dangerous because if you're unhinged and you hear this is the kind of stuff that leads to violence, especially when you combine it with Geraldo on national TV saying punch him in the face, Trump suggesting we kill the guy. So here is more of John Voight. Here's clip number 5.
And what does the radical left do for such greatness? They want to destroy. They want civilization to be run like a corrupt ring. I say stand now with Trump. Let truth prevail. And may God show all the truth. That we are truly a nation stronger because of our president. The left are afraid, for their power is lessening with every deal that is accomplished by Donald Trump. In the name of God and his power for this nation, let us stay strong and without such evil among us.
Without such evil, which is us. We're evil. That's what he talks about. And invokes God and Trump. Not Donald Trump, Trump. That is so much like out of like V for Vendetta or any of those movies where you had people trying to rise up against an authoritarian. And there was the propaganda minister on TV invoking God and the leader, and he's made us great. And those don't appreciate the greatness he's brought to us. And they are evil. The only thing missing is that they should be struck down. That's the next step. That's inferred in this. If you listen to the whole thing, it is bone chilling. Because John Voight is a good actor. And he brings to this a somberness and a solemnity at the same time, a menacing tone to it. That when I watch it instantly, it made me shudder with fear what he was really saying. And he was saying to rise up for Trump, not Donald Trump, for Trump, and intertwine Trump and God and America over and over and over. This is where we are. I can deal all day with their lies and their deceitfulness. I expected that. I'm hoping we're not going to get to the next step, which is potentially violence. But I'm concerned if we're just 2 days into impeachment and they're already invoking literally violence, suggesting violence, and using terms that intertwine God and Trump in a way that would incite violence. Where are we heading with these guys? How does this end? Does it end peacefully with a vote in the House to impeach and the Senate making a decision to remove or not? Or do Trump supporters somehow storm Congress and prevent this? I don't think that's out of the question anymore. So I want to hear from you. 866-997-4748. You're my guest right at the top of the hour. Then we have Jonathan Capehart, then former Senator Al Franken. I sat down with him yesterday. We're going to play that interview. We talked about his new show on Sirius XM starting Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Al Franken Show. We talked about Saturday Night Live because the premiere is on Saturday. But right now, you're my guest. I want to hear from you. 866-997-4748. Are you concerned that Trump will try to incite violence from his followers to prevent this? Or do you think he'll accept it and just fight it the normal way? That's my big issue here. Be right back after this break. At this point, the question is not who connected to Donald Trump as a criminal. The question is anyone connected to